2024 could be the year of the airdrop, and Celestia is shaping up to be one of the best ecosystems for farming airdrops this year. Already, Celestia token stakers have qualified for multiple airdrops this year, and we're only 2 weeks in. There could be dozens and dozens more airdrops on the way for TIA stakers. In this video, I'm going to show you how to qualify for Celestia airdrops, including some that require actions beyond simply staking TIA. Welcome back to Dynamo DeFi. My name is Patrick. As a reminder, everything in cryptocurrency carries risk, and you should be sure to understand those risks before using any of the strategies in this video. Now let's get into it. To start, let's go through a bit of background on what Celestia is and why there could be so many airdrops coming for it, because this isn't random. Celestia is what's known as the first modular blockchain network, and it provides something known as data availability to different blockchains and applications that build on top of Celestia. In short, a modular blockchain is a highly customized blockchain that uses a specific settlement layer, data availability layer, and execution environment to optimize for some task, whether that's a general purpose chain or a chain for a specific application. And data availability is basically the ability of that chain to query its history and verify the history of the blockchain. And Celestia provides that service to different chains, and they have hundreds and hundreds of projects that are actually building on Celestia already. And if you want a full overview of what Celestia is, I put together a 17-minute overview that I'll link down in the description, and that goes into more detail about what exactly Celestia is and what data availability is. But what's cool about this is that because there's dozens of networks launching on top of Celestia, many of them want to do some sort of initial distribution for their token, usually in the form of an airdrop. And when they do that, they often choose to airdrop to Celestia token stakers. And the Celestia token is TIA, if you don't know. And the reason they do that, you can think about it, is they want to get their token in the hands of people that A, are already involved in their ecosystem somehow, in this case, by being involved with Celestia that they're building on top of. And B, if you're staking TIA, you're showing that you're someone who is willing to hold and lock up tokens. And if you're a new network launching, of course, you don't want people to sell your token right away. You want them to hold and lock it up. So you have an incentive to airdrop to people that are staking TIA. And there's already been a few this year that have been announced for TIA stakers. One of these is Dimension, which is known as the home of the rollups. This basically makes it even easier to create and deploy custom app chains that they're calling rollups. And many of these rollups would use Celestia as a data availability layer, and they might use Dimension as a settlement layer. So they airdropped to Celestia stakers. And then you also have Saga that announced an airdrop to TIA stakers. And TIA is another infrastructure play to build modular blockchains. And again, since Celestia is core infrastructure for building modular blockchains, although there are competitive data availability services, Saga airdropped to TIA stakers. So that's already 2, and we're only 2 weeks into the year. There's probably dozens more coming. So the first thing that you want to do if you want to qualify for Celestia airdrops is simply to stake TIA. And I've got to say, this is my favorite way to qualify for airdrops, is staking, because it requires very little work. It just requires you to own some of the asset, and then you lock it up. Keep in mind there is a 21-day unstaking period for TIA, but you lock it up and then you just wait, and you got to keep on top of what the airdrops are, because you may have a time limit for claiming some of them. However, you lock it up and then you start receiving airdrops. And how do you stake TIA? Well, first I'll say that I made a full step-by-step tutorial on how to buy, bridge, and stake TIA. I'll link that down in the description as well. I'm going to go through high level how to do it in this video, but if you want the step-by-step guide, then putting that down in the description. But high level, what you need to do is first you need to set up a Kepler wallet. Kepler is the main wallet that you'll use for the entire Cosmos ecosystem, of which Celestia is a part, and it's where you'll hold and where you'll stake your TIA. So you'll set up your Kepler wallet, kepler.app, and it sits in your browser, and you install it as a browser extension like you would MetaMask or any other crypto browser wallet. Once you've set up Kepler, you'll need to acquire some TIA. There are some exchanges that allow you to buy it and withdraw, in which case that would be easy. However, if you don't have access to an exchange that lets you withdraw TIA, then there's 2 websites that you can go to easily acquire it on-chain. The first of these is Osmosis. Osmosis is the main decentralized exchange for the Cosmos ecosystem. and you can swap other tokens on Cosmos like Atom for TIA. Pretty much every major exchange lets you withdraw Atom. So at a minimum, you can acquire Celestia by getting some Atom, bridging it to Osmosis, swapping it for TIA, and then bridging it to Celestia. And again, that's a few steps, but in the step-by-step tutorial on buying TIA, I go through that in complete detail. And this video is just going to be overview of many Celestia strategies. Second site that you can use to acquire TIA is RocketX. This is what I use personally. This lets you bridge from pretty much any other chain. They have hundreds of blockchains on here. So you can bridge from Solana, Arbitrum, Ethereum, pretty much any major chain that you might use. You can bridge directly over to Celestia and convert your tokens into TIA. And so I use RocketX. Osmosis is another good option, or again, if you have an exchange that lets you withdraw TIA. And once you do that, you're going to want to go to the Kepler dashboard. And on the Kepler dashboard, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to stake your TIA. So you can go to the Celestia chain right here. You can see this is one of my Celestia wallets. I'm staking 300 or about 300. And one thing to note here is that you might consider splitting up your TIA into multiple wallets to qualify for extra airdrops. But in this case, you'll go here and you will simply click on stake. And then you'll have to select a validator. I went with StakeCito because I like the content that CryptoCito mates, and this is his validator. Generally speaking, though, if you want to choose a different validator, look for a relatively low commission. 5% is highly, highly competitive. So I'm going to go with StakeCito. Click on it. Click on stake. I'm going to stake 4 TIA tokens with StakeCito. 4 more, I should say. Click on stake. I'm confirming it in my Kepler wallet, and it'll just take a second to actually stake your tokens. Again, I have a full sort of more detailed walkthrough on this dashboard over here. But it was confirmed, and so now I'm staking 304 instead of 300. And once you stake your TIA, what you'll want to do is go to Airdrops 1 periodically, airdrops.1, and this will show you all of the Cosmos ecosystem airdrops that are claimable. And the reason to do this is that many of these have a time limit. So for example, Dimension has a time limit just this coming week. So you got to make sure you claim these airdrops in time because they do expire, and then often they distribute the unclaimed airdrops to people that actually did claim it. So be sure to check this periodically if you're staking TIA. Again, that's airdrops.1. In addition to staking Celestia, though, there are some other things you can do to qualify for Celestia ecosystem airdrops. The next application in the Celestia ecosystem that you may be able to qualify for an airdrop on is MilkyWay. And MilkyWay is the leading liquid staking platform for TIA tokens. And if you remember Jito on Solana, that was a huge airdrop that happened last month where people received $10,000, $20,000 even for just staking $100 or $200 of Solana. That's because Jito was a leading liquid staking provider on Solana, and it accumulated a huge amount of deposits. MilkyWay I see as the equivalent for Celestia because it's the leading liquid staking platform on Celestia. And so what you'll want to do is you will want to stake some of your TIA through MilkyWay. And again, remember, this is all speculation. However, if they do a token eventually, and most crypto applications do, they'll probably want to reward people who actually used their application. And so to start, we'll simply click on Stake Now. This will bring us to the MilkyWay application, and you will see that we have some TIA available to stake. One thing to note here is that this TIA that I'm staking is not actually on the Celestia network. It's actually on the Osmosis network because Celestia does not have smart contracts. So it's something to know. If you buy TIA on Osmosis, you won't have a problem because you just never bridge that TIA over to Celestia. Just keep it on Osmosis, and then you'll be able to use it on MilkyWay. But to stake it here, you simply enter the amount. We're going to do 0.5. We're going to stake it. And the nice thing about this is that it still takes 21 days to convert that TIA, that Milk TIA, back to TIA. However, you can also swap it to TIA at any time. And then note, because there's a delay in unstaking the Milk TIA, usually it trades at a slight discount to what you would get if you actually withdrew it, but you have the option of selling it at any time rather than having to hold for 21 days. So that's a benefit of MilkyWay. Plus, they could have an airdrop at some point in the future, and I would reckon that using the application is a good way to qualify for that airdrop. Next application in the Celestia ecosystem that may be worth looking at is HyperLane. HyperLane is an interoperability protocol that is specifically built for Celestia rollups. You can see here they advertise it pinned on their Twitter. They're hyped to support Celestia's mainnet launch with Nexus, the first Celestia to Celestia rollup bridge. And you can see they have a bridge live now. If you go to HyperLane's Nexus bridge, then you can bridge TIA tokens from Celestia to Neutron, Manta, or Arbitrum. And I think doing some swaps back and forth on this wouldn't be a bad idea, because if this successfully becomes the main or one of the main bridges for the Celestia ecosystem, could have some value, and maybe they'll do an airdrop eventually. And truthfully, if you've done these three things, you've staked Celestia, you've liquid staked through MilkyWay, and you've used the HyperLane bridge, then I think you've qualified for most Celestia airdrops. However, there are some other tasks you can do now that may be a bit more speculative, but could set you up to receive additional or receive any airdrop from other Celestia related chains that have not yet launched. Let's look at those. First of these is there is this Movement network coming out, Movement Labs. It's a network of modular Move-based blockchains. Now, Move is a blockchain smart contract coding language that is really cutting edge, and a lot of new chains that are high throughput are using it, such as Aptos and Sui. And they are technically in the Celestia ecosystem as well. You can see that they highlight here on their Twitter page that they are enabling transfers of USDC across celestia.org. And they don't have an application you can use yet. However, they do have a quest board. They have a Zealy quest board, Movement Labs. This is a little more speculative whether this will actually result in an airdrop. However, in the past, there have been applications that airdrop to people who are using their quest boards, and it's all you can really do in addition to joining their Discord and Telegram. So I think it doesn't hurt to use the quest board if you really want to go all in on Celestia airdrops. The next Celestia related airdrop that you could consider trying to qualify for is AltLayer. AltLayer is a solution for building decentralized Ethereum rollups that use restaked ETH. And here they have highlighted on their Twitter that they are integrating Celestia modular data availability into their tech stack. So some of their rollups will be using Celestia data availability to scale further. And they don't have a live mainnet yet. However, they do have a live testnet. And sometimes these sorts of networks give airdrops to people that deploy applications on their testnet or who otherwise use their testnet. And so I don't think it hurts if you want to go all in on Celestia airdrops to try to use their testnet. Again, since it's a testnet, it's free. It's just taking time. And if you want to do that, I found this quick guide here on Twitter, and this walks through exactly what you need to do in order to use the testnet. You have to add the chain to your wallet, you have to claim some testnet ETH, and then you have to deploy a contract. However, over time, there may be other applications that launch on the AltLayer testnet that you can then interact with more. Again, you're just trying to simulate or even perform real activities on the testnet, so that way if they reward testnet users, you get included in that category. If you want more guides to airdrops, DeFi, and the latest crypto trends, I have a free newsletter, dynamodefi.substack.com, and I even put out here a Cosmos ecosystem airdrop guide all the way back in the beginning of December. I'll link this down in the description as well, but check it out at dynamodefi.substack.com to get more detailed guides like this. And that's all for today. For more videos like this, be sure to like and subscribe. And until next time, this is Dynamo DeFi.